good evening, and welcome. Tonight we are celebrating 5,000 subscribers on my channel. It's very, very exciting. I want to thank all of you for clicking that big subscribe button down there and sticking around. I really, really appreciate it. I remember when I was excited to have 100 subscribers and 200 subscribers, so hitting 5,000 right now is very, very exciting. And it's all because of you guys, so thank you so much. So I thought I'd do a Q&A, and I went on my community tab and asked you guys to give me some questions to answer. But first, a little bit of business. Tonight, you're supposed to be seeing this book. It's a little you choose adventure about the Aztec Empire. This book was really, really fun. But I'm filming this on my phone, and I'd forgotten to clear out my trash file before I started filming. And literally, as I finished the last adventure in this, my phone's memory filled up and it shut down and it didn't save the video. So it's really lame, because if it were any other book, I would just refilm it. But this one is a choose your own adventure. Sorry for the music outside. It's a choose your own adventure. So I've already chosen my adventures, so I don't want to seem disingenuous and like fake it again. So I thought maybe it's a lot of music outside. I apologize. There it goes. I thought maybe next week or so I can go live and let you guys choose the Aztec adventure. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for now. And you know what? For the first two little adventures, they ended kind of boring. They weren't totally exciting. They were interesting, but they weren't very exciting adventures. The third one was I was stabbed to death by pirates at the end of it. So, yeah, it's kind of, maybe it was a good thing that the video didn't save, because it wasn't terribly exciting. I made all kinds of safe choices and nothing terribly reckless. So maybe try this next week, at least if all goes well. Also, I want to show you guys some books that I received from my Amazon wishlist. Thank you so much to those of you who've donated to the channel. I appreciate it so much. You guys have sent me some amazing stuff, and some of the more popular series is because of books that were sent to me from my wish list. So there's a couple that I've received that I haven't filmed yet, so I just want to show them to you guys. So that, like, if you sent it, it's not lost in the mail or anything. So the first one I have up here, I got a while ago. It's this really cool National Geographic Wonders of the World magazine. And it's really cool in that it's definitely mostly photographs over words. Like, here's one for Hawaii, that's the words on the page. So it's mostly just pictures. And I've been toying around with what to do with it. I kind of would like to make little, like, the dream is to do little, like, documentary things while reading the captions in it. But I've been toying around with different things, and we'll see what I come up with. I have like 3 or 4 different ideas for this, which is why I haven't gone to it yet. I haven't decided which one to really do. Next one I want to show you is this amazing book. It's called Remarkable Diaries. And it's facts and excerpts from diaries from all over history. And it's so cool. I have learned so much neat stuff from this book. Like, literally the very first one in here, let's see if I can get it in the shot without hitting myself in the face. There we go. Is a diary from ancient Egypt. And this guy was constructing the pyramids, and he wrote notes about the stones getting transported down the Nile. Like, that's so cool that those have been uncovered, So this is a really awesome book, and I'm really excited to get to it. And yeah, I was really happy to get this one. But let me reach for this one. It's kind of big. This one I'm the most excited for. It is the History of the World in 1000 Objects. You guys, this is gonna be such a good one. Oh my gosh, I was literally rehearsing the first chapter in this, and I had to take a nap after it. It put me to sleep just reading and practicing, and you'll see. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited for this one. I'll definitely get to this one next month for sure, because it's really, really great. Also, whoever sent me this, it didn't come with any notes. It didn't even have like an invoice from Amazon in it. It was just a box with this book in it, and it came like even a little bit damaged. Like, not so much that it destroyed the book, but the covers and the spine are kind of messed up. So, like maybe it did have a note in it, but it just didn't get sent. So if you did send me this, just shoot me like a private message on Instagram or something so I can give you some credit. Because yeah, I didn't even get like the invoice or anything from Amazon when I got that. It was kind of strange, but yeah. Anyway, that's my little show and tell for you today. Let's get to some questions. So the first one is from channel member Laura. She asks, were you born in San Francisco or did you move there? What's it like to live there? I was born in this area. I wasn't born in San Francisco proper, but I was born in the San Francisco Bay Area. I consider the whole Bay Area to technically be San Francisco because San Francisco is a very small city. There's not a lot of space for the city itself. My frog is falling. There we go. He's holding back my curtain. Okay, I think I fixed him. This is Kyle, by the way. He's helping out, keeping my curtain closed right now. But yeah, San Francisco is a very small city in terms of like area in comparison to other major cities in the US and around the world. So I consider like the whole Bay Area, like there's the North Bay, the East Bay, and the South Bay, to be like San Francisco City metropolitan area, and then there's like Oakland and San Jose, like other major city areas within that metropolitan area. So I've lived in the San Francisco Bay Area my whole entire life, and so yeah, I didn't move here. I've been here forever. And what's it like to live here? It's kind of hard to describe because it's the only place I've ever actually lived, and it's just very I've traveled a bit and experienced other places, and it's definitely pretty friendly, I would say, in terms of like just like strangers on the street. You're more likely to get help if you need help, stuff like that. My cat just woke up. Maybe I'll snag him when he comes back. He's gonna go drink some water. Oh, he's gonna beg for snacks. I'm gonna snatch him. Let's see if I can do this. Hey, you. I've snatched the cat. There he is. He's gonna be really mad. Okay. Okay. I snatched him. Let me give him some snacks to please him. Snack box is right next to me. A little bit of crinkles for you. Carefully open it. There you go. Okay. Okay. Friendly in terms of just people in general, I would say. It's very kind of relaxed, but also very uptight at the same time. I don't really know how to describe it. And just a relaxed kind of mindset, but very uptight about the values that we hold here, which for the most part, there's some pockets of the areas where it's not, but for the most part is very welcoming of diversity and different lifestyles and things like that. San Francisco is definitely a place where, for the most part, you can be yourself and not feel discriminated against. You can just, be who you were born to be. It's pretty cool. There's also lots of fun little like boutique shopping in different corners of the city. And you just find not just like the neatest stuff, but the neatest people who work there or shop there. It's just there's little pockets out there at the city where you just find really, really friendly people. It's really cool. Of course there's some mean people, some horrible people, there's crime and things like that, but for the most part, it's pretty cohesive, I would say. The biggest issue, I would say, would be like the gentrification kind of You know, Google is taking over parts of the city, like literally buying up whole buildings to like house employees and stuff and busing them in and out of the city to work over at Google. It's really bizarre. And in doing so, they're taking away space from typically like people of color because they're taking buildings in like the lower income neighborhoods, even though in San Francisco there's no such thing as a low income neighborhood, typically where people of color would live. So that's kind of a big issue right now. But you know, for the most part, there's worse things that could be an issue, right? So that's basically how I describe life in San Francisco. It's very busy, very loud, but very fun and exciting. All right, next question. Alex, channel member Alex asks, have you traveled outside the US? And my favorite YouTube channels. So yes, I've traveled outside the US. I have been to England and France. Sadly, that's it. I had so many plans in 2020 to travel that obviously could not happen, and it's really devastating. My passport expired. I'm gonna have to renew that, but that's okay because I was a teenager in my passport photo, so it's time for a new one. But yeah, I love traveling outside the US. It's so much fun. I've been to England twice, so I've like traveled twice outside the country. I would really like to go to Canada and Mexico, our neighbors. So just to have a bit more outside the US but still North American experience, but other people have asked me stuff like that, so I'm gonna answer those questions later. My favorite YouTube channels. There's a question later about ASMR channels, so I'll hold off on ASMR channels. I would say for just in general YouTube channels that are not ASMR related. Well, for my channel, I watch quite a few. I would say the top 3 I use for research would be Geography Now, which if you like my channel, subscribe to Geography Now immediately because you will love it. Then there's Mr. History, who does very brief summations of history of different countries in the world. And then there's a channel run by a lovely lady named Camila that's just called Travel and Geography, and she does really like charming looks into different countries, and she reminds me a lot of the way that I look at things in the world, and I look for things that I like and things that make me happy. She likes to do Google Street Views and point out little like buildings or things that make her happy. So those channels are great. If I remember, I'll link them down below for sure. But when I'm not researching, let's see, I watch so much YouTube. I don't even know where to start. I like to watch, well, right now, this is so bad because I've hated true crime my whole life. My parents loved true crime and they would watch true crime documentaries all the time, and I absolutely hated it because I didn't like hearing about dead people. And now I'm watching true crime YouTube. It's really terrible. I really like Stephanie Harlow and Kimberly Flower, especially. She's one of my favorites. But I watch so many YouTube channels that I can't even like think of one right now. Hello. He wants more snacks. No way. You don't get more snacks just because you ask. No. Okay. All right. Next question. Channel member Lynn asks, what's your favorite comfort food? It's definitely pizza. I've always loved pizza my whole life. And nothing too extreme. Like if I have extra toppings, it's just like mushrooms or like bacon, or I don't want too much on my pizza because the thing I like the best is the cheese and the bread, not so much the toppings. So, yeah, I've always liked pizza. The next best one would either be like cheeseburgers, but like, thanks kitty, not like fast food burgers, but like real grilled burgers on like a real grill, like a backyard barbecue kind of burger. Or it would be like Kraft macaroni and cheese, which is a thing we have here in America, where it's literally just like fake powdered cheese in these noodles, and it's orange, And it's not good, but I loved it as a kid because it's really like bland, and it's just like it's like meant for little kids basically. But every once in a while I'll divulge myself. It's good with like hot dogs or a pepperoni in it, like just to spice it up, add some pepper, to make it more adult. But it tastes like childhood because it's cheap and it's quick to make. So of course my parents would make that for me a lot when I was really little. All right, next question. How did you first get into geography? Has it been a lifelong passion for you? To answer that second one, yes. My cat's still staring daggers at me for snacks. No, kitty, no. When I was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old, my I don't know who got it for me actually. It was some kind of gift, but it was a little geography game called GeoSafari, which they still exist, but they're nothing like what it was back in the late 80s, right? And it was a little matching game where you would put a card on it was kind of like a tablet, and you would enter in like the number of the card, and then it would give you random, like either countries or capital cities or whatever the topic was, and you had to input like the number that they were in on the map, and you'd find out, if you were right or not. So say if it was like a chart of Africa, it would go beep, 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 and land on like Namibia. And so if Namibia was number 12, you push 1, 2, enter, find out if you were right or not. So I got really into that. That was really fun. I was just really determined to like do all the cards and get them all right, and just basically like complete it. I was really, really into that. And I don't know why it fascinated me. I still kind of don't know why geography fascinates me, to be honest. I just like knowing about the world, And then the Soviet Union broke up, and my maps were inaccurate. And it was like a personal slight. Like I felt like it had happened just because I had memorized where everything was. And now there were like 13 new countries all of a sudden, and I could not remember where they were, especially the Baltic states really confused me. I could never get them straight. And I was just really mad that the USSR broke up when I was a kid because that was too much to memorize. Hi, kitty cat. So, that really put me off of geography for a minute, and then Yugoslavia broke up, and that was even more of a mess, right? But my cat's staring at me. You're a little brat. I've said this before, he's literally 18 years old, so he's grumpy all the time. Anyway, so then what happened after that? Oh, if you've never seen the show Animaniacs, it was like a 90s cartoon. It was very like cynical and very satirical, but there was also like random bursts of educational stuff, and there was a lot of geography songs in there. There was a song with every country in the world. There's a song for every state in the US. There was a song for all the planets, stuff like that. And I loved Animaniacs, and I memorized all the songs. I still remember the whole Countries of the World song. And yeah, I got really into that, learning all the names of the countries and stuff through that. And then what happened was when I was in 4th grade, so like age 9, 10, I was sat in front of the map of the US in my classroom, and I would just stare at it all day. Like I'd be listening to my teacher, but I'd be staring at this map. And after like a couple months, I realized that I had memorized it, and I could close my eyes and see it. And I could, read a name of a state in my book and look up, and I would know exactly where it was. And I thought that was really cool that I just memorized the whole US by staring at a map. And then I went on to 5th grade, so like age 10, age 11, and I was sat in front of the world map. And my cat's in his litter box, ignore that. And I just remember like sitting in my assigned seat and realizing I was in front of a world map, and I was just like, here we go, like here we go again, I'm gonna memorize this. And eventually I did. It took a lot longer, obviously, because it was the world, but I remember really enjoying it because it was like a raised map, so all the mountains were like bumpy, so every once in a while I'd go up and like touch the Himalayas and stuff. And yeah, so that was how I just like learned geography, by just staring at maps for a long time. And yeah, I just like knowing where places are, because people just like me live there. And I just like to know, and it boggles my mind when I meet someone who doesn't know where places are, like France, like a basic country that everyone should know. And yeah, it's interesting, I guess. I just like knowing where places are in the world, and I really love history. It's just like exciting stories to me, in my opinion, and something to really learn from, I guess. Anyway, that was a long answer to that question. Here's another long question. It says, what are your favorite traveling destinations and why? Which region of the world would you like to explore first in your next traveling adventures? What activities do you like to do most when traveling? So my favorite traveling destinations, definitely, well, I mean, the only ones I've been to outside the US was England and France, so those were wonderful. France was a bit of an adventure, but I'm very glad that I went. But England was very near and dear to my heart. I had a wonderful time visiting England. I haven't been to Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland, just England and the UK. I need to go to more of it. But those are wonderful. Love London. I could run around London for days and days and days and have fun. The region of the world I'd like to explore first would definitely be East Asia. In 2020, I'd planned a big trip to Japan and South Korea. I was going to wait till after the Olympics and check out Japan and South Korea then. I was low-key planning on moving to South Korea to teach. Probably in the world without COVID, I was planning on moving at the end of like 2021, early like around this time basically. But that obviously didn't happen. It all very quickly fell apart. Like right around the time COVID happened, everything, all the plans for that fell apart, and not just because of COVID either. So, yeah, I definitely want to go there first because that was what I had planned to do. And what activities do I like to do? Definitely museums. I mean, it's me, right? You guys know me. I love museums. I love natural history museums. I love art museums. I love science museums, planetariums. I really enjoy museums a lot. I love art galleries, And yeah, I always try when I'm at a new place to find a nearby museum to explore. And even if it's like a town in California I haven't been to before, I try to see if there's like a local museum just to see what they have. And then definitely like theater, I love to do. I love to eat different places. Just all the typical stuff, but definitely museums is at the top of the list. Or any, like, if there's like a historic place, like I've been to Stonehenge, places like that, I definitely love to explore and discover. All right, next question is, what channels do you draw inspiration from? There's quite a lot. I would say probably the first educational ASMR channel I discovered was French Whisperer. And this was back, 2014, I want to say. Back when his channel was fairly new, I discovered him. And he has a lovely accent and a lovely delivery. And his channel, he took like a hiatus for like a year and a half or so and came back better than ever. Now his videos are fantastic. I'm really into his space videos, which his other videos are fascinating, but the space videos, like, I'm out like a light. It's so relaxing. I also really love, oh gosh, I should have probably made a list beforehand. Oh dear. How about this? In editing, I'm gonna just list them all here and link them too, so you can check that out, because I'm drawing a blank, because there's a lot of channels I draw inspiration from, and I can't even think of one right now, but French Whisperer definitely comes to mind first and foremost. Tingledom ASMR was a big one for me. Library of Whispers, now it's coming out. Library of Whispers ASMR is really wonderful. There's a lot. But yeah, I'll list them all down below, I suppose, because I literally cannot think. Anyway, next question is, what are your favorite books to read outside of your ASMR research and filming? Now, that's kind of a rough one because I kind of went through a period where I read a lot and then I just kind of stopped reading, and now pretty much the only reading I do is just research for the channel because that's what I really, really enjoy. And the last book I read, I'm now drawing a blank on the author, but oh darn, I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay. In post, I'll talk about it. I'll throw up the picture of it and everything. It's kind of a disaster, but oh well. So the book I was trying to think of was Daughters of the Winter Queen by Nancy Goldstone, and it was wonderful. It was a very dramatic retelling of a particular part of history, mainly like the 1600s on, and how the granddaughter of Mary Queen of Scots just managed to completely change the entire history of Europe just by who her daughters were and who they married and things like that. And it, like, the writing style was so good. It was basically like just spilling really hot tea constantly. It was written very relatably, and it was a lot of fun. And she also has books about Empress Maria Theresa and Catherine de Medici, so I'm like itching to read those as well. But highly recommend. If I could, I would love to read this book on the channel because it was just so wonderful. But yeah, highly recommend. Okay, next question is, if you had to live outside the USA for a year, go anywhere you wanted, where would that be? My instinct is to be a place that speaks English, or a place where I could easily communicate, because I really don't want to have to live in a place where I learn a whole new language. So I suppose, I'd probably have to go for the UK, maybe even Ireland, I want to say, would be a good one. But also, I was planning on moving to South Korea, right? So there's that as well. And if I had to live outside the US for a year, yeah, I think that would be it, honestly. Anyway, next question. Oh dear, top 10 countries you really want to go to. Let's see. Well, I really want to go to South Africa. There's one. I want to go to South Africa because I love great white sharks, and they have jumping great white sharks, and that's on the bucket list. I really want to go to Peru because I really want to see Machu Picchu. I really want to go to Italy. I really want to go to... It's hard to narrow down. I would just start naming countries. I really want to go to Slovenia. I really want to go to Romania. I really want to go to Tunisia, Australia, New Zealand, Uruguay, and one more. Oh, Costa Rica. Because, yeah, when I research these countries, I'm like, oh, I want to go. Oh, man, I really want to go to Indonesia, too. I really loved reading about Borneo. I really just want to go to the island of Borneo. So that's like Malaysia and Brunei and all that. I want to go to that island. So yeah, there we go. And then the last question is favorite flags of the world and why. So far my favorite flag for sure would be Seychelles because it's really beautiful. But there aren't really a lot of bad flags out there, at least for world flags. There's some like regional flags that are a little MS Paint quality in some parts of the world, but no, all flags I think are wonderful in their own way, and it's really neat how each country has like colors that are similar. Like a lot of countries have the same color blue, same color red, but they all stand for different things, and I really like that. I really like the flag book that I have. I'm excited to get back into that one, but it's really, really long. Because you just learn a lot of little details about the flags, and I would like to do more videos about flags and stuff like that. So it's really hard to pick a favorite flag other than Seychelles, because that flag is beautiful. But yeah, flags are fun. They're really interesting. So that was it for the Q&A. Thank you to all those who sent questions in. I appreciate it very much. And again, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Actually, today I hit 5,100, so that's another 100 people to say thank you to. And maybe we'll do this again when I hit maybe 10,000. But, you know, I should check my social blade to see when that will happen, because if that happens sooner than later, I might have to pick a different number. But anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good